Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a very special young man, and I'm going to call him a young man because his email address ends in 91, which makes me think he's at least 10 years younger than me. Superfly Wilson, how are you, dude?
I'm doing good, man. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Um,
Thanks for coming on, brother.
yeah,
Great to have you.
yeah, you have a fascinating upbringing and story and just everything. Like we've been doing a lot of BKFC like coverage as much as we can, and like you're one of the more standout interesting stories of the lot. Like run me through how did you go from MMA to like, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of these little gloves and I'm gonna go in.
And keep that smile as well. Look
Yeah,
at that, man.
Yeah,
Man
yeah,
fights bare knuckle
yeah,
looking
yeah.
like that. Shit.
Well, it just was kind of presented to me. I don't know. It was just like I remember when bare knuckle first kind of just hit, and I was just watching, and I was like, man, this is interesting. And I remember Joe Rogan because
mm,
listened to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, and he
yep,
was talking about fighting with no gloves.
yep,
And what he was saying made a lot of sense. Like you gotta watch where you're punching,
mm-hmm,
so you could break your hands and a lot of and he was saying yeah, it'd be more cuts, but it'd be a lot more action with the grappling. He was
yeah,
talking for MMA,
yeah,
and then I was seeing this bare knuckle boxing coming out, and then I was watching a lot of Reggie Barnett, and
yeah,
and I was like, man, this looked like something I could do, because I was already training boxing, and I
mm-hmm,
know I wasn't going to box. Like I'm 29 years old, and I not have a single boxing match,
mm-hmm,
not even an amateur boxing match. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to box. I was just boxing to try and get better at MMA,
yeah,
but it was like biting me in the ass because I was losing to grapplers, and
yeah,
I'm a wrestler. I started wrestling when I was in high school,
yeah,
and and I was losing to grapplers. They were just taking me down because I don't know if my hands just got better. I just looked a little faster, but they would take me down. They're bigger than me.
mm,
I fight at 128. I'm way 128 pounds. They're walking around like 140, 135, dropping down to 125, walking at 5'7", 5'6", 5'8", and they were just giving me a hard time on the ground, and I was losing the grapplers. But well, I was training, and
yeah,
actually, I was sparring with Nico Hernandez. He brought me in. He needed an MMA guy to
really,
spar with him around his size to get him ready for bare knuckle.
mm,
So his dad was asking me, "What do you think about bare knuckle?" He's like kind of throwing it in my head a little bit because I trained with his dad, a little bit too.
yeah,
So we kind of had a relationship there. So and
Oh.
uh, Bare Knuckle hit me up. Nate Shook hit me up on Facebook, and he was like, just how much we have to pay you to fight Nico. You know,
that's
and I
amazing.
just and so we made a deal, and I was like, it doesn't seem that hard, but they threw the weight on me. They were like, he only fights at 112 pounds. I
Oh,
was like, I have not even made 100. I wrestled, just to give you a perspective. I wrestled at 119 pounds as a freshman in high school.
High school.
Like I didn't
Shit.
even know how I was going to make the weight.
how did you make the
And
weight?
I'm walking around like 128, 130. I ran. I put on a sauna suit and I ran. It
Yep.
was like a pound a mile. I just ran every single day. Sometimes 3 miles before I go to practice, train, hit the mid, spar, and then I run after practice with a solid
Oh,
3 miles. And
that's
just to get it
brutal.
down, and eating eating cashews, and you just baby food, just anything that wasn't gonna put weight on me. But I'm yeah, uh,
Oh,
but that it just kind of got presented to me, and then
yeah.
and originally it was going to be in my hometown in Wichita. Me and him both went to the same high school. I didn't graduate there. I left when I was in the middle of high school, and I
Mm.
graduated from Tennessee. And,
Oh,
that's
nice.
where I started MMA in Tennessee. But we went to the same high school, so we kind of from the same side of town, but like a different part of the tracks. Like
Yeah.
more Hispanics is on his part, and then more the blacks is on
Hmm.
the part of town where I kind of grew up. So to me, it was like a good story. I was like, I'll fight him because he's the best in Wichita. He has a key to the city, and everybody's going to tune in to see me beat them because
For sure.
they always want to see a champion lose. Everybody wants to see a champion.
Yeah. Everyone
just-
goes for the underdog,
I
right?
just said yes, you know. Yeah. So I just said yes, and that's how I got into the bare knuckle.
That's crazy. Like I've never really heard of the sparring partner being like, should we do this? Like, how did that come to be? Because was it just the case that they didn't have anyone like around the same weight that they trusted that wasn't gonna like?
I just think he just has a real limited amount of people in the States to fight
Right.
at that weight class. And
Right.
him being an Olympian
Mm-hmm.
and being a 7-0 professional,
Mm-hmm.
even though, you know, the people he beat was like cans, you know, him being a 7-0 professional, you know, it's kind of hard, you know, for him to get opponents. You know, nobody's going to take that fight. You know what I mean? So, and then especially bare knuckle, it being new, you know, and they just probably couldn't find anybody to take that fight. And then I guarantee when they looked me up, you know, they see I always take the hardest fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I fought nothing but undefeated guys who lost one time. You know, guys who just got in the UFC. You know, that I fought last year. You know, so I fight even though I lose some. I fight, you know, the toughest fights because I know the only way to get into the big shows is if you beat the top guys. So.
That's it,
man. And there needs to be more of that, man. That's the way it should be, bro. That's awesome.
Because how they kind of presented it to me, they was like, well, we could bring a guy from California and fly him down, pay for his hotel, or we could just pay you more money and then you could just fight him here. So I was like, well, that made sense.
Give me the directions. So are you planning to stay in BKFC for a bit? Did you enjoy it?
It was fun. You know, I didn't enjoy the pain after.
Yeah, well, obviously,
that was some of the worst pain I ever went through in fighting. You know, like, but you know, I healed up fast. You know, like all my stitches are out. So, like, my hands aren't work bad. I think both of his hands were damaged pretty good, but I was still good to go in that 5th round if I didn't throw up. So I feel good. And then I seen a lot of holes in my game that you know, a lot of the things that I approached, I could have approached better. And it's just all a learning process. So I'd love to do it again just to see where I'm at after having one bout, especially a bout against a guy of that caliber. You know, give me somebody lesser and see what I can do.
Yeah. But also,
do you think the vomiting was from the weight loss?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
I don't know. It could have been a number of things because, like I lost probably like 15 pounds, maybe in 10 days. And I put back on, I got from 115 back up to like 123 in a night. So, and I was still starving before the fight. Like I ate down some bananas and chugged down some water. It was like maybe an hour before I went out and fought. Like, cause I was just starving. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like anything I ate didn't do enough. So it could have been that, or like they said, it could have been an early sign of concussion. I know my head was just, you know, I was just trying to get through it, you know, because he cut me early in the first round, you know, second round. So, and I was just trying to get to that. I was trying to get to that 5th round. I knew I just had to survive because I felt his power going away.
Yeah.
And I knew something might have been wrong with his hands. I believe somebody said he might have even broken one. So I just felt it going away, you know. So, you know, that's why we were talking a little trash in the ring. And then, you know, he punched me and then he's like, oh, that hurt. And I flipped him off, you know. It's not hurting as much as you think, you know. And I just knew I had to get to that 5th round and the nerves set in because I just knew I was going to beat him. I was like, there's no way I'm going to beat him. I shouldn't beat him at all. And it's going to happen. So all the nerves set in. That 5th round was coming and I don't know. I couldn't hold it down. I tried my best and I didn't want to sit down. Like I was trying to stay on my feet and they brought that stool in. I was like, I got to sit. I sat and as soon as I sat down, I started throwing up. So.
Was you good to go again afterwards or?
well, it's a rule in Kansas. You throw up, it's over. Yeah, I could have went that 5th round. It's 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I knew something weird was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I was like, I know he can't beat me. If there's an out, it's gonna be on mine.
Yeah. Would you do it again at the same? Obviously not 115. You'd hopefully you'd go up a little bit further, right?
I believe they want to do it again.
Yeah.
Do something again with me in December because they already previously sold the show here in Wichita, and then they had the COVID. They had to move it to another town.
Mm-hmm.
So they still have to honor those tickets, and they're going to do it in December. So I believe they're asking me to do 115 pounds again, which I know the guy who fought in the first fight fought Nico before at 112 pounds. So I know he could possibly make 115. He's tall, but Kendrick Latchman, he'd be a good opponent. I don't know what opponent they're throwing around, but I take all comers, and then I'll drop back down to 115. Just to see what I look like, because 115 is significant for me. I always thought the UFC should have had 115 pounds. And when they first brought the women's from Invicta, Dana White had like articles talking about bringing men's 115, and a lot of people were just shitting on it. They're like, these guys are too small. These guys are women's weight. Like nobody wants to see that. They don't want to see the 125ers. And then he brought in the women's, bought the women's from Invicta, and people loved it. But because it's a lot of action at that weight class. But there's a lot of men that fight at that weight class around the world. Especially in like Mexico and Asia. Those weight classes, straw weight, 115 pounds is huge.
Yeah.
And so that's just my dream, a dream of mine. I'd love to fight at that weight class, but I'd love to do it in MMA more so than boxing. But this is, I'm just what I'm doing right now to make money. So
is that where your heart is, MMA?
That was my dream. My dream was to, get in the UFC and fight Demetrius Johnson. I wanted to beat the best of the best and get that strawweight belt. But be truthful. I'm not a strawweight. I walk around. I mean, a flyweight. Excuse me. I'm not a flyweight. I walk around at flyweight. So like MMA, just there's really nobody to fight at 115 pounds. But I guess in boxing, at 118, 115, I could fight at those weight classes and probably find some success. I'm only 5'1". Are
you really
like 5'2" with shoes on? So it makes more sense for me to fight at that weight.
How many times have people given you a little bit of mouth, thinking that you're on the shorter side? Dude, I'm 5'8", 5'7", whatever. You and me, we're on the schmedium pile. How many times have people give you a little something and you're just like, I'm going to pick you up and drop you on your head and completely and utterly sun you? What about?
I don't know. I mean, me. I got 2 older brothers, and my dad. We're all short, so it just never stopped none of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about like 1FC? They must have like a 115 division, no?
Yeah, they do have a strawweight division.
Hey man, it's time to get on the plane. It's time to go out to Singapore.
Yeah.
And live that life.
Yeah.
1FC has some banging fights.
Yeah.
Man, I would love it. Yeah, they do have a lot of good fights. I watch a lot of that. I can't pronounce a lot of the guys' names, but I like
neither can we, my friend.
Neither can we. When we have to try out here, I end up spelling it half the time. I'm like, I can't say this shit.
Yeah. You have to get on YouTube and hear the announcer say it a couple of times and practice, and even then, it's dicey, right? It's not great. So we're fighting again in December. That's massive. Have you already started, like obviously with the cut, you can't really be doing contact, but have you started to really train now, or are you still in rest time? Because I think no one would begrudge you a little bit of rest after that.
I'm resting a bit. I went in the gym and hit some mitts on Monday, and hit the jump rope and just got back used to it. But I'll be in there for sure tonight, and getting some work and doing some running, mostly just cardio and running. You know, getting back, getting my lungs back. You know, I've been doing nothing for about a week now, and I already feel out of shape.
You're getting a little bit twitchy.
How do the hands feel?
Yeah,
I feel great, man. Honestly, I didn't. That was like the least of my issue. And, you know, my corner was like, you know, put ice on it in the corner, and
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I got blood in my eyes.
yeah.
You know, I'm more worried about my face. Yeah,
Fact.
you know, I'm used to hitting hard things with my hands. You know, I hit the bag a lot with you know, through the, you know, I've been training for this since March. You know, I used to beat my hands up, you know, and really couldn't do much in the gym for like a week because I just beat them up on the bag because I
Yeah.
knew what it was going to take to get ready for something like this, and I knew you're hitting bone. It doesn't matter if you're hitting a guy in the ribs, you're hitting bone, and it's going to be tough on your hands. So I
Yeah,
tried
for
my
sure.
best to harden them up. You know, I don't know if that's like a true thing, but
We had Chop
I
Chop
put them to
Cooley
work.
on, and what he's got, you know, those like kung fu wall boards, and he's literally just like punching the leather kung fu boards just constantly, just getting these giant veteran knuckles. His knuckles,
Yeah, man, his calluses were huge.
yeah, he had like knuckles like 2 eggs, just like giant hands. Get some kung fu boards. Just plus, that's great gram content, no?
Yeah, I think what is her name? Christine. I can never pronounce her name. She's an awesome lady. Christine Farah,
Okay.
bare knuckle.
Oh yeah.
Bare knuckle star. They call her Misfit. Yeah. I think she has one of those things in like her house, and she posts it on Instagram a lot. She has blood stains on it.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick. I was like, man, I've been thinking about that. I'll probably piss the neighbors off with that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, conflict resolution should always be the key, but also just send them the pictures. Is there anything scarier? I mean, there was like female MMA fighters for a while where you're just like, well, you're terrifying. And now there's the female bare knuckles. I mean, is there anything scarier than a female bare knuckle fighter? Like, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm definitely paying for dinner. I'm definitely opening doors, and I'm 100% being a gentleman.
They can
Definitely.
fight too, man. Shit.
It's nothing worse than getting hit in the mouth by a female because you can't hit them back. You just got to take that one in the mouth.
Conflict resolution. See,
There it is. So fighting in deck, like we said, MMA is still the dream. How often are you training MMA still? Do you separate your camp up? Do you have a boxing coach, grappling coach?
I just right now just have the boxing gym, a boxing coach. Right around the way from me, there's a good jiu-jitsu gym, and I pop in there sometime on Sundays and do some grappling. But for the most part, I've just been trying to focus everything on boxing right now. That's the only. You know, I haven't really been getting much offers for MMA fights. You know, I'm on a 3 fight loss, and you know, now 4 with bare knuckles. So I'm just taking what I can get. You know, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is like it doesn't take very. I mean, in this era where, you know, if you know someone that's decent editing on an iPhone, you can start doing a little bit of promotion for your, like, I've seen a couple of videos that are made for you, like your story about, you know, I saw one of you where you're on the bus talking about going from like Wichita to Tennessee, and then, you know, like stuff with your dad and all of that stuff. Like, this is the first time that a professional can probably do a lot of self promo and get their name out there. And it's, you know, people don't really care about records anymore. People care about entertaining, fun, interesting fighters. And you tick all those boxes, dude.
Especially the way you fight. Like, fuck the result. Like, that's entertainment right there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, 4 fights is nothing when you consider what the content that went into those fights. Like, that fight with Nico was sick.
It really was.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, that's what I'm here for, is like entertaining fights. you know, I got away from the grappling, you know, in MMA, and I kind of, like I said, it bit me in the ass. I started losing, you know, same rear naked choke to, you know, guys back to back, but that grappling and just holding on, it's just boring, you know. If you're not gonna pick me up, just try to slam me through the ground and knock me out, like what's the point of grabbing on me? Let's bang. That's what people want to see, is a stand up and fight. And you know, so that's why I like this bare knuckle. It's like you can't disguise that as anything else. It's brutal as it looks, you know.
Talk to me about the so like
and it excites people, you know. A lot of people are excited.
Talk to me about the wrap, like it's because we got told it's kind of like a koozie that they put over your wrap. What is it, like foam or what?
Well, it's just gauze and tape. I mean, that's I've seen it on other guys and other shows where it looks a little bit more bulky.
Yeah.
But with us, it was they just wrapped our thumbs and our wrists with some gauze and some blue and red tape, and that was it. You know, it was really no protection at all other than your wrist and maybe a little bit on your thumb.
Yeah.
But it's just all bare knuckle.
How have you
I mean, honestly, I felt free.
Yeah. How have you felt? Have you felt with the whole BKFC organization? They seem, I mean, to two outsiders, from the people that we spoke at that have fought in it, the people that have just signed, and like your good self, that they seem a pretty fair organization to be fighting for. Obviously, we can cut this out if you want to slam someone.
Yeah, the people that work this show, and the people that work the show, they're like super enthusiastic about it. Like you could tell they really love like putting on these events, and they're all real passionate about it, and they took care of us, and they like just let like media guys come in, like anybody who calls themselves a media outlet for fighting come in and talk to the fighters, and it's just like a cool environment, you know. Even in the back room, like they had just like some of the media guys, we're all sitting watching the fights and just clowning around, and I, you know, I felt comfortable, you know, just being there and being around those guys. And so yeah, they're very fair, and I think they pay very fair, you know, compared to the MMA. These MMA organizations, they're paying guys 500 to fight, you know. I mean, that's $500 if you lose. I mean, that's not even barely a week's pay on a decent job.
Yeah,
you know. So it's a lot. I think it's a lot better for guys who's looking for opportunities, and they do a lot of content. You know, that's some of the most content I ever did for a show. You know, talking and they doing the promo, and I felt like main event. You know, even though we were co-main, you know, I felt like we were the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah,
I love working with them. You know, and I think that's why December I'm probably give them another one.
Yes.
Hopefully, especially
for the people listening to. So I was just going to say, for the people listening, when they hear the pay for a fight, you may in your head think, oh, that's 2-minute rounds, or if it's MMA, 5-minute rounds. What you need to remember is the amount of blood, sweat, and tears, all the weeks and months, and the weight cutting and the sparring and everything that goes into it. The fighters, the one thing we're always saying is the pay really needs to be there. So we're really happy to hear that that's the case, because you guys fucking earn that shit like every second. So thank you so much for the amazing fights, man. Like, we really want to get that message out. You guys are incredible.
Fact. Have you seen that in Wyoming they're doing the first US Lethway event? Have you seen Lethway before?
Oh yeah, I think I've heard something about that. Actually, a guy that I was doing some pad work with did Lethway. Out in I think he did it in Bangkok, maybe once or twice, and yeah, he was telling me a lot about it. That stuff is crazy.
Yeah. See, now I would have thought that with the smile on your face when you're talking about bare knuckle fighting, you'd be there.
That they're bringing it to the US.
Yeah, man. Imagine bare knuckle Muay Thai with headbutts and some
man,
throws, some
I don't know,
grappling.
man.
Come on.
I'm just taking it one at a time.
Yeah. Love that. But yeah, like what you were saying about the pay, like it's hard to deal with. Like, you know, you're training for 8 weeks, potentially for $1,000 if you've won, and on top of that, you're probably out the game for a little while because bare knuckle, the lacerations and the tissue damage, it's gonna do you some damage. Plus the cost of training, let alone like live off $1,000 for food for 2 months as a professional athlete. Good luck. Let alone coaching costs and equipment and etc. That's why you guys like. Have you got any sponsors?
No, I don't. I actually don't. I've never even had a sponsor. And I've been fighting for about 8 years now. So, but I just got a good buddy of mine that I do some landscaping with. He's promised to sponsor me for my next fight. So I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect.
You're listening, sponsor this man.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, get involved.
Yeah, I mean, like, are you allowed under the BK rules? Are you allowed to like fill your shorts full of badges? We've got a pretty serious delay, by the way. Like when we speak, it's probably like 3 or 4 seconds before it hits you.
Yeah, I hear it. Yeah. It takes like I think about 2-3 seconds.
Yeah.
It's all good though.
Yeah, we cut that bit out. Don't worry.
But you know, I think they let us have as many sponsors as we want.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they let us have as many sponsors as we want. You know, and they kind of let guys be free and kind of be themselves. You know, even at the weigh-ins, they let us get a little pushy, and we're talking crap in the back room, and they kind of just let us kind of be ourselves and you know, stick a camera in front of me. I promise you, I'm gonna make some entertainment. You know, give me the right opponent and the right dance partner. You know, I'll make it a little entertainment.
Perfect. I mean, like, there's got to be from a new organization. They've got to have people that they work with, and that they can hook you guys up surely with someone that can help. Because to be fair, it's in their interest to develop BKFC stars, and you know that does come at a significant cost and a significant amount of, you know, even just like sweat equity, like the amount of time it takes for you to train for a bout, like knowing that you have at least like a roof over your head, your food covered, and your training costs covered at a bare minimum. That is like absolutely key to getting the most out of their athletes. So you know, maybe in the next, I know a year sounds like a long time away. Maybe in the next year there'll be enough attention and enough media that, you know, people will look at it and be like, let's get in contact with Superfly. I mean, shit, you put our badge on your shorts, we'll talk money.
Yeah. That's the hope, that they just grow. Yeah, I mean they're. It seems like, you know, and David Feldman says a lot that they're the fastest growing sport, and the way, I mean, they just barely been around a few years, so the way it's looking like it's just an incline, that like this is just going to get better, and more eyes are going to get on it. So if I could stick around with a good company like this, I hope that I could grow with them and become a star up under them. You know, probably be the. It'd be probably strange looking at a guy at 115 pounds with a bare knuckle star, but you know, people like it, I guess.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Have they given you? I mean, is December like assured, or have they just said like we're gonna do a show in Wichita December? Superfly, come on, son, are you in? Or is it just like, is it still fairly up in the air?
Yeah. Right now it's just a verbal yes.
Nice.
You know, I just gave them my yes that I'll, you know, December I'll be ready. But with this whole COVID and, you know, this stuff still being around, you know, they're changing plans like every week. So we never know. I never know what will happen, but I just know I'll be ready to fight. You know, come time they're ready to do a show, you know, I'll be ready.
I mean, to be fair, when we spoke to David, it sounded very much like,
give me an opponent.
Yeah, man. It sounded very much like, as long as you stay ready, and like if they pick up the call and they're like, do you want to fight? And you say yes, they've got you. If you pick up the fight and you say, I can't, I haven't been training because my arm's broken, they're fine with that. If you're just like, I don't really want to, then they're like, not really sure about this. We need game players now. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe. I think you just got to stay sharp.
Yeah. And I think to fight bare knuckle, you got to kind of like know how to fight already.
Yeah,
it's not something for a new up and coming guy who just want to learn how to fight. Like you're gonna get beat up in this. You're gonna get cut up. And you're gonna have to train hurt. And there's a lot of things that you're gonna have to deal with. With having some experience behind you would help. So.
Who was the fighter that you saw as a young man and went, I want that. I'm gonna do that.
I was always a Sugar Ray Leonard fan, even though he was way before my time.
Yeah.
They always had books of him in every library. So every time I got like an assignment for a class and we got to go through and get a book and do an assignment on a book, I always picked up a Sugar Ray Leonard like biopic or something like that. And I was just obsessed with him, man, because he was just so fast.
Yeah.
And he was always had a clean, good career. He never got any trouble, And I was just so interested in him. And of course, I was like a Mike Tyson fan and Roy Jones, and I watched a lot of like good boxers coming up, but Sugar Ray Leonard just stood out to me. He was like my Muhammad Ali.
Nice.
I thought he was just the greatest of all time.
So you very much so were of a boxing household background, and then MMA come after.
Well, growing up, we were like, my dad was big on professional wrestling, so like
really.
WCW, WWF, ECW, any wrestling that came on TV.
Bit of Ric Flair
my dad would make us record it.
Flair,
Woo! Yeah. So we watched a lot of professional wrestling. MMA kind of like I saw like glimpses of it growing up, because my uncle, he was in the military, and then we'd go visit him when I was real young, and we were big Ken Shamrock fans, and we thought he was like the baddest dude to ever like do professional wrestling, and my uncle would always tell us like, man, it's a little Brazilian dude, like 170 pounds, that just tapped this dude out, and he'd show us like videos like of UFC 1 and UFC, the early, and he'd show us like a lot of the early Pride. He had like a lot of those DVDs, he'd get them from overseas. So he'd show us Rampage Jackson and people like that. So we watched a little bit of MMA, but we didn't really see much of it until I got maybe closer to high school, probably middle school, when the Ultimate Fighter came out, and Rashad Evans and all them on the Ultimate Fighter. That's when I really started becoming a fan. And then soon after that, when I got in high school, now I started wrestling, and I seen a lot of these wrestlers winning championships, and I started really getting into it. Now then I have to go to Hooters on the weekend and go watch fights. So then I got real into it, and then I tried to go and wrestle. I came out to a small school here in Kansas, and I tried to wrestle, and I just didn't really have the grades to go to school, and I just owed a lot of money, and I had to have my own apartment just to go to school and wrestle. And I was wrestling as a redshirt freshman, so I felt like I really wasn't getting a lot out of it, and I had a kid early too, so I just dropped out of school, and I didn't have anything to do. And I went back to Tennessee. That's where I was living with my uncle, growing up my last couple of years in high school.
Yeah.
And I went back there and I got a job. And I had a friend, my friend Adrian Thomas. He's a professional wrestler and an MMA fighter now. He's an up and coming fighter. He was just, man, he was like, man, you need to come to the gym with me and help me get ready because he was getting ready to go to Tennessee Chattanooga Division I wrestling team. It was going to be his freshman year. He needed somebody to help him get ready over the summer.
Yeah.
So he took me to an MMA gym, and we were in there wrestling. And a guy came up and wanted to show us a darts joke, and he was like, "Man, I'll let you guys train here for free if you fight for me, amateur MMA for me." And my buddy was like, "Well, I'm going to college, but he could do it for you. He could fight all day."
Yeah.
And he just basically volunteered me. And then me and him talked about it like after, and I was like, "Man, I don't know if I want to fight, And he's like, "Man, what else you got to do, man?" He said, "I just don't want you to be a loser. You're not going to school anymore. What are you going to do? Just work?" Because I think I was working at like a KFC at the time.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do? Just work? And I was like, it just made sense to me. So I just started fighting amateur for him, and then I switched and went to another gym that had more professionals because I went 5-0 with that guy, and he was like trying to get me to sign contracts and stuff, and I'm like, I'm an amateur fighter, So it just did a lot of stuff he was doing. It makes sense to me, and so another gym reached out, and Scientific Street Fighting, SSF.
What a name!
Right there in Clarksville, we got a guy, Nate Landwehr. He's in the UFC now. He comes out of there, and so we had a lot of good guys over there that was professionals already. So I went over there and I started training, and they turned me professional in 2017 in Puerto Rico. I fought at 117 pounds in Puerto Rico through Mike Merriman. He sent me out there, and I turned pro, and after that I never turned back. Anytime I get a fight offer, fly me out, I'll fight.
I love that. That's just like they're the most fun fan friendly fighters out there. Just sure. When? Okay. I gotta make weight. Cool. See you there.
Like Cowboy's always up for it. You call him 2 days before, he'll be like, I'll be there.
Yeah. That's also one of my favorite fighters too. Cowboy, Justin Gaethje, Frankie Edgar. A lot of those guys that just say this just can't turn down a fight. I love that. Like this is all about entertainment at the end of the day, and we want to see good guys fight good guys. And that's what I want to. I want to put on good fights. I don't want to fight a guy that's just going to go in there and lay down for me.
Yeah.
I was never like that. I'm not a bully. No. I never beat up on kids that I knew I could beat up. I want to beat up somebody. I want to fight somebody that scare me at night. That I'm thinking of at night. Like, man, I might get knocked out. Like, that's what excites me. For
you got to punch up, right? What do you think happens with?
I think the fans can see it too.
Yeah. Undoubtedly. What do you think happens with Khabib Gaethje then?
Man, that's a hard one because nobody's figured out the puzzle of Khabib, and it's like he doesn't really have. I haven't seen, other than Conor McGregor, I haven't seen anybody stop his takedown. And even though Justin Gaethje, he's a wild fighter and he can surprise you. I don't see it in his arsenal that once he gets taken down and Khabib gets control of him, I don't see it in his arsenal of him getting up. I've never seen him on the ground though. So it's kind of a hard one. He could surprise us all and pop right back up every time and give him a hard problem. But
I think Gaethje was all American, wasn't he?
Once he gets a hold of you, it's game over. I think Khabib might do it again. Yeah, he was an all-American wrestler, and but I mean, just Khabib's just a different kind of grappler.
He's a werewolf, isn't he?
It's like he just trained his whole life just to hold guys down, and that's all he wants to do.
Have you seen the video of him as a child wrestling the bear cub?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not disturbing.
Yeah, I see those, man, and I see, and just with his dad, like he had his dad passing, and he has like a lot of things going, like riding on him right now. And I think with every fight now, it's like retirement for him.
Yeah,
like he's approaching every fight like it might be my last, and nobody wants to go on their last on a loss. So I just don't see him losing anytime soon. Like, he's like, because if he fights Gaethje, he might just say, I'm done. you know, I did this with my dad, and we built this legacy, and we got all these wins, and now I can ride off in the sunset. So we never know what could happen, you know. So I think with that element, it's hard to count them out.
Nice. Did you watch Loma versus Lopez this weekend just gone?
I watched a little bit of the highlights. I didn't really get to watch the whole fight, but I heard some people complain about the judging in that fight.
Yeah, it was crazy judging. Did
that fight go the whole distance?
Yeah, it went the whole distance. I mean, most people had it like 7 rounds to 5 to Lopez.
I didn't really get to watch much of that.
One, we need to make an active move to get you sponsors, right? That's fact. Number 2, we need to make sure that you are promoted, even if you're just literally doing intense Instagram lives of you just like punching the kung fu board, just constantly, just dead eyeing the camera, right? 3-4 times a week, no big deal, right? Just get the presence up and up and up, because I think you've got like massive star potential, dude. Like, you're so fun to watch, and you're just such a positive guy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I came from nothing. Like literally everything I do, I get it out the mud. You know, I don't even own a car. You know, so like
really,
so all this is fun for me. Just to have anything going on positive in my life is fun for me. So you know, I soak up every moment, and I really try to go out there and put everything I got on the line. So
yeah,
I just hope it translates to all the fans, and people just gravitate towards me, and I grow from that.
It does. How do you stay so like just one-minded? I mean, is it just a case of option B is I don't get out of bed, or option A is I'm just going to be Superfly and fuck you,
take over the world, son?
I mean, I just know that, you know, the alternative is I could just be here and be struggling, you know, working, washing dishes, you know, that's my previous job before I fought this bare knuckle, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, is that it for me? I could just give up and just scrape the bottom of the barrel, and hopefully when I get 35 or something, maybe I'll go back to school or something and things turn around. But you know, I'm not going to lay down and just let that be my life. You know, I want to change my life today. So if I got to take on all comers and fight anybody and everybody to get to the top and be the next big thing, you know, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
I mean, that's for me a perfect place to wrap this up, because what I want to do now is literally say, everyone that listens to our podcast, like, look up Instagram, Superfly Wilson, right? Get there. I mean, you know, we'll obviously, you know, when this comes out, we'll do the posts and stuff like that. But, you know, the man is just a G. Look at the smile. Look at it.
Pay this guy to be a motivational speaker just in the morning, like calling me, like legend.
Look at that. Thank you so much, man. We'll speak to you. We'll try and speak to you again before your next fight in December, yeah?
Yeah, yes, sir. We'll do it again. No problem. I had fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you so much, bro.
All the best.